Hello, my two consistent viewers and everybody else who accidentally clicked on this video. Welcome back to Conflicts of Interest, where we take a look at all the conflicts that are going on in the world today. So first of all, we're starting with Ukraine, of course, and if we take a look at the Chromova area, which as we know is west of Bakhmut, we can see that Russian forces have been pushing a bit further in this area, about a kilometer, maybe a bit more, further west out here. So why are they doing this? Well, we know that they've been trying to push towards Ceasefire since even last year, since the entire encirclement and taking of Bakhmut by Wagner. So if they're trying to take Ceasefire, or maybe even over here Konstantinivka, or maybe Kramatorsk-Slavyansk, maybe they're trying to further encircle it or something out there. I don't know, But as to why, I mean, there really isn't. I mean, if they're trying to get to Kiev, it's a really, really long way to get there. But if that's their plan, then I mean, so be it, right? I mean, who am I to stop them? Other than that, there's just this frontline update in the Krasnohorivka near Stepova area out here, trying to, they're obviously trying to further encircle Avdiivka, which like I said in the past, they're probably going to succeed, albeit, at pretty high losses out there. So, just as an overall update, they're pushing, but, as to how much they're pushing, like, I mean, look, the past couple days, like, that's literally it. I mean, maybe over a few years, yeah, they'll probably take Ukraine, but as we talked about, yesterday, we don't even know what the war goals are. Like, are they going to try and take Chasivyar, or are they going to try and take Kramatorsk and Slovansk? Like, we really don't know what the war aims are here. So, anyways, that's all we had to really talk about for the map here. Interestingly, Ukraine has hacked Russian TV out here, so it is IPTV, i.e., just internet TV that they have hacked. But I'm surprised that this isn't more common, since we know that we have seen it in the past a couple times, but it isn't happening all the time, which I would think that with the resources that Ukraine has, that they would do it, more often. But let's take a quick, couple seconds of this clip.
Дорогі територію своїх розшилась поразкою окупантів.
Ми не обирали війну у боці.
So yeah, as we can see, this person just scrolling through a few channels and just it popping up. I don't imagine it was obviously on there for too long in the grand scheme of things, but it's pretty important, considering that further trying to display to Russian people, in Crimea, or even if Russians were to do it to Ukrainians, that trying to demoralize your enemy and try to bring an end to this war. And as we can see, here's another clip of it. Of these guys, changing the channels, and it's still on all these channels out there. And you can hear in the background that one of these guys is like talking about football or whatever, soccer. Anyways, so that's both sides are trying to monopolize the information space, since Ukraine wants an end to the war and trying to demoralize not just Russians, but trying to further entice other allies, or perhaps prospective allies, that they need more aid, and that's something else that if Ukraine trying to fight for its own sovereignty, and Russia also trying to do the same, since as we know, taking 1 million shells or somewhere around there from North Korea in exchange for from what we've heard, some like scientific things out there. So anyways, that's really all I wanted to show from this clip right here. So I constantly wonder, who are the people who are operating these drones out here? And from what I remember at the beginning of the war, is what a lot of the things that people talked about were that drones were going to be increasingly more important, as we've seen, especially in terms of the usage of them and the amount of footage that we just see from them taking out single lone guys, kind of like this, or entire tanks or whatnot. So the reason why is that I bring it up is because at the beginning, a lot of the people who were a part of this were gamers, being able to use controllers and just porting those abilities into warfare seemed to prove at least somewhat effective, funnily enough. So this clip out here, I just wanted to show it because, or at least this one still, I can't really show it because of the way it ends up for this Russian soldier out here. But it is a Ukrainian drone, and it's pretty much harassing this guy. It's only like a couple meters away from him as it's just flying around him, and at any point he can seemingly strike him, but it seems like it's kind of like a cat and mouse, at least from what it seems. So, the reason why I ask is that who are the people who are behind these? Because they seem not necessarily like in any way, but in terms of when you're playing like a Call of Duty game, for example, uh, when trolling somebody, this seems like that's what it is. Like this drone operator is literally trolling this guy in real life, and then he finally goes in for it and takes this guy out. But it's definitely interesting to see how this conflict is evolving, in the sense that you would think that you know games like Call of Duty or any other first person shooter or warfare games would not have any applications to real life, and yet we see it literally manifesting out here. As well as the background music for this is Kalinka, which is a traditional Russian song, and it seems to be using it in a sort of ironic way. But anyways, let's take a look at Israel. So just a brief map update. There is no change to the map out here, as well as, from what I understand, Hezbollah has completely kind of backed off for the most part. As we've talked about, all we've seen is just a little bit of Israeli shelling out there. But other than that, all the reports, especially from ISW that I've seen out there, Hezbollah has completely backed off for now, at least. But what I really want to talk about here is that Israel is reporting that apparently there was a violation of the treaty, but from what I understand, the treaty is still standing as of right now, as well as the hostage exchanges out there. So it's definitely a bit shaky, of course, but also from what I understand is that Qatar and I believe Egypt are trying to bid for a longer ceasefire out here, since the fact that the Gaza Strip borders Egypt, they're kind of you know concerned with their border security out there. So, and Qatar has been brokering these agreements, just this ceasefire that's going on right now. But so trying to, negotiate a longer ceasefire is, I think, a little bit more shaky, or at least it's not. I doubt that it's going to happen. But it really is up in the air. It's up in the air in terms of what is going to happen after this ceasefire. But um, I think what is most likely is that Israel and Hamas are going to go right back to it, um, and we're going to see, unfortunately, more civilian suffering, if not an even more intensity of it, considering that Israel doesn't have any more, wouldn't have more hostages in it, though you know we aren't entirely sure if Hamas is going to exchange all of their hostages or what, but anyways, that's all I really had to talk about for this map update out here. So now a conflict that is quickly becoming one of my favorite and most interesting to research as of right now. This is a video of Kokyan in Myanmar, and this is a military base that was taken by the MNDAA out there, which is of course an anti-junta group. So from what I understand is that there were nearly 100 soldiers that were captured, Myanmar army soldiers that were captured, as well as some others, individuals like police and whatnot out there, as well as I believe their families. So it's interesting to see that these guys, this conflict is moving out there, right? And this is, from what I understand, is that this apparatus might be some kind of perhaps drone jamming signal, or perhaps some kind of radar. I don't know, but it's just interesting to see that this conflict is moving, right? And as we talked about, the Operation 1127, from what I've seen, is that a lot of the footage is, of these anti-junta forces stepping up their, attacks and raids out there. So obviously they're finding a lot of success out there. So we're going to keep talking about this conflict as long as it keeps developing. And, as to what will it develop to, I mean, what it's seeming is that these anti-junta forces are growing in numbers and power out there. So, you know, I would say that, don't be surprised if a larger coup happens in Myanmar. So another area that we don't talk enough about, this is Burkina Faso, and talking about the huge militant attack that happened a couple days ago. To be precise, and kind of an update about what happened. So these militants were Al-Qaeda. They are Al-Qaeda affiliated out there, and it happened in a town in the north of Burkina Faso called Djibo. And I mean, we can just look at a couple stills of it out here. Of course, footage isn't the greatest, and I don't want to show too much of the kind of the stuff that happened out there. But there was a lot of them. It was a huge attack, and of course they were repelled, mostly attributed to the kind of drones, the Bayraktar, that they have out there. So it was a large attack, but from what it seems is that it was very largely repelled, and a lot of them, a lot of these militants suffered pretty heavy casualties. Alright, well that's really everything for today. I'm really looking to talk about some more conflicts out here. So, I'd really like to talk about Sudan more, or any other conflicts kind of, in the Sahel, or perhaps even South Asia, since I know that there are some groups out there, some separatist groups, not even just in Myanmar, but also further abroad, and also just kind of Central Africa as a whole. I'd really like to talk about more. So if you have some resources, some consistent and reliable resources that I could use, I'd be happy to use them, because I really want to talk more about Myanmar, but there's just there are no resources out there to talk about it, because I'd love to share a map like this, of to show who holds what. But even then, I think it's also the nature of that conflict, the fact that no one really holds such and such territory. It's kind of hard that perhaps the anti-junta forces have maybe a base out there, or maybe they recaptured a town, but everything else is more or less a gray area. So anyways, that's all I really had to talk about for today. So, if you have a comment or any questions, of course, leave them down below. And other than that, thanks for watching, everyone.